Hello guys, welcome back to the new video. So in this video we will give the functionality to our task screen. So first let's open our task screen. As always, first we will create a data class to keep all the states related to this task screen, and then we will create a sealed class to keep all the events related to this screen. So here let's create one data class with the name task state. So these all will be our states. So let's also open the screen. So first these two, title and description, we will keep the state of this text field. And then we have this is task complete to keep the value of task completion. And then priority, here we are using that priority class we created in the util package. And by default we will keep the low priority. And then we have this related to subject, and then we have this subjects list to provide to that bottom sheet, and then we will keep this subject id and the current task id. Now in the same way, let's create one more sealed class where we will keep all the events. So these all will be our events. So now let's go to our task screen and attach all these states and event with their respective value and on click. So here let's pass. Let's scroll down, and here there is no need for these two states. So let's delete these. And here use this title from our state. And after this, here in this delete dialog, let's attach that delete event, and let's scroll down, and here in our task date picker, let's attach the required event. So here we will pass the milliseconds whatever user has selected. So we will get that from this date picker state and this selected date millis. So this date picker state we created here. So let's scroll down, and here let's use the list from this state, and here attach the event. And let's scroll down, and here in our task screen top app bar, first thing we need to provide this is task exist. So here we will check if the current task id from our state is not null. It means there is already a created task. And this we will also check from the state. And the checkbox color, and here on this on checkbox click, let's use that is complete change event. And again let's scroll down, and here in the outline text field let's use this title from the state, and in the same way this description. And here in these on value change, let's attach their respective events. And let's scroll down, and we will show this due date from the state. And here in our priority row button, for this border color, here we will check this priority with the state dot priority. If this priority is equal to the current priority from the state, then we will show this white color. In the same way, here again we will check from the state. And here let's attach the event. And after this, let's scroll down. Here we will provide the name of this selected subject from the state. But it is giving error. It is saying that we are providing the nullable string, but this required not nullable. So here let me create one variable. First we will take the subject list from the state, and then we will get the first elements from this list, and if this list is empty then it will return this null value. So in that case we will just use the blank string. So here let's use this first subject if there is no related to subject. And here in our button let's attach the save task event. Now let's scroll up, and here this is giving error, so let's use these state. So first we need to create these state and on event in our view model. So let's open our view model, and here initialize our states as we did in the previous two screen. So here also we are first using this mutable state flow for task state, and then we are using this combine function to keep these two values. And here I will update this subject list to the state. And here with the help of this state in we are managing and collecting. So after this let's create the function for events. So this will be our on event function. So first let's connect these two things to our task screen. Now go back to our view model, and here update our states in these events. So like this we will update all our states. Here in this on is complete change. When user will click on that task checkbox, whatever will be the value, we will update the inverse value of that. If the task is already complete, it means there is a check. If user has clicked, then user wants to uncheck that, then we will update the reverse value. So here we will just check the is task complete value from our state, and we will save the inverse value of that. And in this on related subject, we will update our two states. Now first let's create this save task function for this event. So here again we will use the ViewModel scope and launch, and here let's use this task repository dot upsert task. So here we need to provide the task object. So we will provide all the values from the state. So this is how we will provide all the values from the state. Right now this is giving error in three values. First, this due date, it requires the non-nullable, but we are providing the nullable. So here what we will do, if this due date is somehow null, then we will take the current date. So for that, here let's use that instant class. And next, these two things are giving error. It is saying that it needs non-nullable string, but we are providing the nullable string. And in the same way, this subject ID is also asking the same thing. So here let's put a check with the help of if condition. Now we can see it is not giving any error, because here we have specified that if this subject ID is null or related to subject is null, then we will return from this function. We will not run this code. And if these values are not null, then we will insert our task into the database. So now let's run our app and see is it working. So let's click on the first card, and here on this add task. In the top app bar, there are no action buttons of delete task and checkbox. Because we are creating a new task, so there are no needs of those actions. So let's try to add some tasks. So here I have clicked on that save button, but it has not navigated us to the back screen because we didn't provide that functionality. But we can check our database that if this task has been inserted or not. So for this, let's open our app inspection, and here let's open this task entity, and we can see we have our new task inserted in this database. So let's minimize this and this also. So for the snack bar event, we can copy the code from the dashboard view model. So let's open this dashboard view model and copy this code and paste it here. And in the same way, let's open our dashboard screen First, let's copy these parameters and paste here. And again, let's copy that launched effect. And here, after this, let's paste. And for this snack bar host event, let's again copy this code and this line also and paste it here. And now this is giving error. So let's use the snack bar event from the view model like this. Let's go to our task view model and scroll down. So here we will keep this upsert task function in a try catch block. And for that catch block, let's go to the dashboard view model and copy this code. And here we only need to change the message. And this snack bar event, let's copy this. And if any of these true values is null, then we will also show the snack bar. And this time we will change this message to different message. And here in this try block, after using this upsert function, we will emit our events. And after this, we will also use the navigate up event, because when this task will be saved, then it should also navigate back to the previous screen. And in our task screen, here in this launched effect, and if the incoming event is navigate up, then we will use this on back button click to navigate back. Let's press Ctrl Alt O to optimize our imports. And now let's run our app. So here in our dashboard screen, we can see the tasks we created is also showing in this upcoming task list. But the date is showing in the long form. This we will change. First, let's go to the subject screen and create new task. When we press save, so here it has navigated back us to the subject screen. So we can see it is working. Next thing, we will work on two things. First, this date is not showing in the right format. It is showing the long value. And next thing, when we click on this task, then it should fetch the task on which we clicked. So next we will implement this fetch subject function. So first let's minimize this. And here in this component package, let's go to the task list. And here in our task card, this is the text we are using to display that date. So here we will provide our extension function on this due date. Change millis to date string, this function. So let's close this and go to the task view model. And here let's create one function. So here again we will use this ViewModel scope.launch. Now we need the task ID from which user has been navigated. So let's scroll up and here again let's use save state handle, and here let's create one value for 𝗍𝗏𝗀𝒏𝒄𝒃. So let's scroll down, and here we will first check 𝗍𝗏𝗀𝒏𝒄𝒃.task_id. So this task ID can also be null. So here we will check. If it is not null, then we will use this code. So here we will say task repository dot get task by ID, and here we will provide the ID, and this get task by ID function can also return the null value. So here again we will use this let function. So now we will update our state with the values which has come from the task. So in this fetch task function, I am updating all the state values from the values which are coming from the task. So this function will be called whenever this view model will create. So here after these, let's use init block and call our fetch task function. One more function we also need to create, fetch subject, because if the user is coming from the subject screen, then we will fetch the value of subject from which user has been navigated. So again let's create one more function after this. So here again we will update our states from the fetched subject, this subject ID and related to subject. So let's also call this function in that init block. One more thing, let's also check the implementation of these functions. So let's go to the data package and repository and task repository implementation. So here these two functions are not implemented. So let's use task_DAO dot delete task and with the task ID. And here again, let's also go to the session repository, and here these two functions are not implemented. So let's also implement these two. Now all these functions are implemented. Let's also go to this subject repository implementation, and here we can see all these functions are already implemented. So let's close these two, and now let's run our app and see these functionalities. So here in our task list we can see now the dates are showing correctly. So let's click on the first task card. So it has fetched this task with all the required data. And now we can also see we also have these two actions in the top app bar because this is a already created task. So now let's try to update our task with some different value and press save. So we can see it has been updated. And again let's click on this card. Let's click on this is complete checkbox. So here check mark has appeared. So let's save this. So it has moved from this upcoming task list to the completed task list. Let's open this history subject, and here we can see in the completed task list it has been added. Let's click on this task card, and next we will give this delete task functionality. So when we press this delete button, then it should delete. Right now it has been crashed because in that delete functionality there is to do check mark. Here we can see. So let's create a function with the name delete task. So this delete task code will be exactly same to that delete subject code. So let's go to our subject view model, and here let's scroll down. So let's copy this code, and here in our task view model let's paste it. So first we will check this current task ID, and let's also rename this, and here we will call the task repository dot delete task, and here we will provide the task ID, and we also need to use the view model scope. So here let's use, so here instead of this subject we will say task, and here we will say no task to delete, and here again task. So this will be the code of the delete task function. Now let's run our app and see this change. So let's open this history subject, and on this write code task. So let's click on this delete icon and delete. So that task has been deleted. So we can see our delete functionality is working. Let's also try to delete this subject. So again it has also been deleted. So let's create one task. So here if we press on this checkbox, so our app has been crashed because this functionality we left in the previous videos. So next we will provide this functionality. So when user will click on that checkbox, so it should update the task. So let's minimize these and go back to our dashboard view model, and let's scroll up, and here we have assigned this to do. So first let's remove these to do, and here when the user will click on this on task is complete change, so we will create a function for this with the name update task. So let's press enter and create function. So in this function again we will use the view model scope and then try catch block. So let's copy this code and scroll up and delete this part of code, and here we will call the task repository dot upsert task, and we will provide the task with this updated is complete value. So here whatever will be the is complete value, we will just inverse the value. If the task is already complete, then we will change it to not complete. If it is not complete, then we will change it to complete and change these message like this. Now let's run our app and see this. So here let's click on this checkbox. So we can see we have our snack bar. It is saying saved in completed task. So here let's open this and we can see it has been saved to completed task list. But here if we try to click on this checkbox, so again our app has been crashed because in the subject view model we have still not provided this update task functionality. So here let's minimize this and let's copy this update task function because this will be exactly same. And here in our subject view model, after this let's paste it and attach this update task to this is complete change. Let's also remove these to dos because these are causing our app to crash. So here in this update task, the only difference will be the message of this snack bar because in our subject screen, there will be a completed task list and there will be a upcoming task list. So we will first check if the user has been clicked on a completed task, then we will show saved in upcoming task. And if the user has clicked on incomplete task, then we will show the saved in completed task. So here with the help of if condition, so now we can run our app and see this functionality. So let's open our subject screen and press this checkbox. So now it is showing this saved in upcoming task and it has saved our task in the upcoming task list. Let's again press. So now it has been moved to the completed task and also this snack bar is showing. One more thing we need to correct is this when we press on this add task button. So here this related to subject field should get the subject from where we have been navigated. Let's press back button and this time we will navigate to this history subject. So here we can see it has not been updated. So for this let's minimize this and here this also. Let's go to the subject screen and in our subject screen we are navigating to this task screen when we press on this add task button. So here we should also pass the subject id. Earlier when we didn't provide the functionality, so that time we provide this minus value, but now we will pass the current subject id from the state. And this current subject ID we will get in our task view model. Here let's scroll up and here we are getting these nav arcs through this save state handle, and with the help of this nav arc we are fetching the subject. So now let's run our app and see this functionality. So here let's click on this history card and add task. And now we can see it has loaded the history subject. So let's create this task. We can see it is working perfectly fine. Let's press back button and this time create one more subject and try to create new task. So it is working fine. Now few more things we need to correct. Here in these count cards I have provided wrong value. So to correct this, let's go to our subject screen and let's go to this count card section. So here we have this section. So let's swap these two values like this. Let's press Ctrl B on this and change the text of this to studied. One more thing we need to correct. For that, let's go to our dashboard screen. So this dashboard screen is our first screen. So to specify this thing here, we use this parameter start to true. But now this thing has been deprecated by the library. So instead of this, we need to use another annotation with the name root nav graph. Here this one, we can see this is coming from the compose destination library. And here let's provide this start to true and run our app. So let's press on the first card. So here now these count cards are showing correctly. So this will be all the code related to the task screen functionality. And in the next video, we will create a service class that will help us in creating the session timer. So do subscribe if you don't want to miss the next video. Thanks for watching.